Welcome to Jomar Yoga. Today we have Tracy here with us, and Tracy is very tight. She is probably one of the tightest people that I've ever met. And so we're gonna help her with some modifications because her hamstrings are really tight. Hamstrings are connected to your glutes, connected to your low back. So this is gonna kind of help to work through a couple of those things and some good modifications for you to take when you're practicing at home or in the studio. So you're gonna come into a push-up position. We're gonna work her into downward facing dog, which is a common yoga pose, a transitional pose. So from here, she's gonna come into this push-up position, and that's where her hands and feet are gonna be. Now send your hips up high. So this is pretty standard. Now for Tracy, she's already stepping her feet in because she knows that she needs to because of her hamstrings, which is great. So bend your knees a little bit more, Trace, good. And then lift your heels a little bit. So this is just gonna help her open up a little bit more. Your heels don't have to touch the ground in downward facing dog. That's unnecessary. This is really about a long spine. And for Tracy, her spine is nice and long. So this looks great from the yoga perspective. Okay, so this is just some things you can do, bending the knees more, lifting the heels high, and then sending your hips as high as you can to make the long spine in the downward facing dog. So go ahead and come to your knees. And from here, we're gonna take a good variation for child's pose. So child's pose can be pretty intense if you have really tight hamstrings. So for Tracy, we're gonna bring her knees together instead of wide. And then she's gonna curl her toes back. And so she's on the tops of her feet. And then she's gonna hinge forward. So this is what's often called an embryo pose. So as you can see, she's pretty tight to the point that her face is not on the ground. So we're gonna bring a block in, so a little rest there. And so then her arms are to her sides. This is a great low back opener for her. So she's getting a lot of length through her low back. How's it feel? Good. Excellent. So she's also getting, again, into the back of the legs and the hips as well. So she's getting a lot of opening, but pretty minimal effort and not a lot of trying or grunting, right?
Right.
No grunting. Great. So go ahead and press yourself up from here. Good, and then swing your feet out from underneath you. And the last one we'll show some modifications for is forward fold. So a seated forward fold can be really intense and sort of bad on your back if you do it incorrectly when you have tight hamstrings. So just looking at Tracy here, she's already kind of leaning back because her hamstrings are pulling on her. So we're gonna take a block underneath her knees. And that's a really good way to start in a forward fold because she's bending their knees and then they're supported by the block. So from there, shift a little gift out from underneath. Good, oh, there it is. Now take your arms up high and then start to hinge forward. So right away you see she's rounding in her back because she's so tight. So bend your knees more. Good. So now she's got, go ahead and release your arms. Now she's got a little bit more length through her spine instead of rounding through her thoracic spine, and she's getting the stretch that she needs through the back of her body. So through the low back and through the hamstrings that she needs. How's it feel?
Good.
Good, excellent. So she can relax in this a little bit more. So notice Tracy's probably not gonna look like some other people in the yoga class, but this is the best shape for her body. So know that you don't have to look exactly like everyone else in the class. Make the modifications that you need so that you can find the opening in your body.